Uh, our first speaker for the day is the first speaker for the day is Vandan. Vandan Singhal is an Eco+EEE student of the 2020 batch who has received an offer of a data analyst role from Wells Fargo, which is a company offering financial services. So, without any further ado, Vandan, please share your journey with us.
Yeah, sure. So I can see my screen.
Yes, it's visible.
Yeah, and okay, fine. So, hello guys, I'm Vandan Singhal. I'm from the batch of 2020, and I got last year I got a data analyst role at Wells Fargo. So, through this PPT, I will show you what my journey has been here, and I will guide you through what are the key things that you need to keep in focus while preparing for it, and what is the test process, what is the internship process, and all things I'll cover in my PPT. So yeah. So the agenda of today's PPT will be I will be covering the on-campus as well as the off-campus opportunities, the eligibility criteria for Wells Fargo, and what is the process of selection as well as preparation, what was my approach, and moreover the internship work in a whole sense. So yeah. So the opportunities that are available on campus would be Wells Fargo, Accenture, Expedia, Uber, PayPal, Atlassian, and I also remember last year ITC also came for on-campus role. And for off-campus, you can approach the startups or Citibank, Deutsche Bank, JLL, or Standard Chartered. So, yeah, these are all the opportunities. So the eligibility in Wells Fargo, like the people who can apply is 7+, but this time they have reduced the number of hiring that they have done for data analyst to only 2 people. So in the second round, when before the the assessment that we gave in IPC, a sitting arrangement list came, and people who were shortlisted for that, they have a CGPA of more than 8. Last to last year, this criteria was little lower, the bar was lower, as the number of candidates that they selected were 4 for data analyst role. So yeah, it depends on year to year. And yeah, the timeline for the company is last week of August. Like I remember around 20th August, the mail came on Superset to apply for it. On in around 3-4 days, the sitting arrangement came. Then we gave the test in IPC, and after that, on 28th, the interview was scheduled. Just before that day, in the night, I came to know that I was shortlisted. So yeah, in the next day itself, the interview was done, and the next day, 29th, the result was out. Last to last year, this happened in the first 2 weeks of September. So yeah, it's a day one company, and you can expect it around mid of August or later than it. It's better you should be prepared beforehand only. So yeah, so the procedure was, first of all, there was a written test. Before that, I told you, like the shortlisting was there, that was done on the basis of CGPA. So in the written test, logical reasoning came, PNS came, English comprehension as well as coding came. In my personal opinion, the written test was quite easy, but in the coding part, what is important is the questions were easy, but what matters is how optimally you have answered the question. Like I have completed the test early on, but what I made sure is that the answers that I gave are perfectly optimized, and I have covered all the edge cases. So that's why my test went great. After that, the shortlisting came. We were 8 people were shortlisted from our campus, and out of that, 2 were finalized in the interview round. I will cover the interview and the other stuff in the next few slides. So starting with the preparation, this is a website that I found which has all the Wells Fargo assessment tests which have come before. It has the numerical reasoning as well as verbal reasoning. the situational judgmental test that they have, as well as the video interview test. So yeah, you can definitely visit this website. And for the coding part, what I personally did was I used LeetCode, and my language of choice was C++. So in LeetCode there was a series of top interview 150 questions. I completed that series, and after that I also did A75. Like, there were 75 more questions related to interview. So yeah, I did that. And what my procedure for doing that was, first of all, I tried to attempt all the questions by myself. And if I found that I cannot solve it, then I see the top two solutions that are present on LeetCode, or I also refer to YouTube for it. At the same time, I also made a comprehensive list of whatever questions I am doing, and some logic behind the solving of it. So that's a good way, and a memo that you guys can also prepare side by side, and it will have all the logics in one place, and at the time of revising it would be much easy for you. And yeah, apart from it, I've also seen that there are a lot of open online assessment discussion forums, because Wells Fargo comes to a lot of colleges in India, and a lot of people, when their interviews and stuff are done, their online assessment are done, then they put all their questions onto these forums. Like, LeetCode also has a discussion forum, and you can search online. A lot of forums are available. So in those forums you can find out the questions that came in that year as well as in the previous year. So once you are done with the basic practice of DSA, you can go to these forums and try out the questions. And this is the website link that I have attached. It will be having the practice part of the test, and it would be a great use for you. I haven't used it myself, but I think if you have done this, then your chance of getting selected is quite high. Now, talking about the interview. So in an interview, what I was asked a puzzle, which was that you have to tell the ways in which you can climb a NH staircase, and at a time you can either go one step or you can go two steps. So I tried solving it, and they gave me some time. So when I was solving it, I found out that the pattern it was forming was of recursive solution. Like in C++, recursively we solve questions. So it has a recursive pattern, and when I tried to pen it down, so I find out that the ways in which we can climb n staircase is equal to the Fibonacci value of n plus 1th sequence. So later, after my interview, I found out that it was this puzzle was also a part of Geek for Geeks top puzzles. So you can definitely go there and see all the puzzles that are there. Regularly revising these puzzles would be great, because these companies have a set of these puzzles, and they interchangeably ask from them only. So you can definitely try this out. And uh, for the interview you should know the ML basics and DSA. Yeah, they also asked me a question related to DSA, in which uh, the question can be solved by brute force, but the different thinking that you have to use is, the question can be simplified by using DP, that is dynamic programming. So if you are thorough with the concepts of DSA, then definitely you can definitely pass the interview round. And some people were also asked guesstimates, and the main thing their focus was is on your resume itself. Like, I am from economics background, so first of all they look through the subjects that I have mentioned, and they are very curious for my subjects that were related to econometrics and derivative and risk management. So they started asking me about, in econometrics, what are some of the tests that you can do for finding out autocorrelation and heteroscedasticity. So at that moment I cannot recall the whole thing, and I told them in bits, and I told them that uh, it's quite a long time since I have done these courses, so I cannot recall perfectly, but yeah, I'm telling them. In DRM, they yeah, because derivative and risk management is also very important for the company, this course. In that, they asked me about option Greeks, and uh, to my best ability, I told them what are alpha, beta, gamma, delta, these, and I gave a basic summary to them, and they were fine with it. And then they also asked me about the security market line and the portfolio efficient frontier, this stuff they asked me. And it, when they're discussing about your resume, their pattern is in a form of a thread. For example, they'll start on a project that you have done, and in that, wherever they'll find a loophole that somewhere maybe you are less confident, so they'll start a sub thread from there, and then they'll continue asking questions from you from that side only. So it's very much important that you are very thorough with whatever you have written in your resume. And yeah, it's very, star method is quite common. Like, first of all, you have to tell them what was the situation in your project, or whatever your any internship experience, then what task you were given, then the action that you have taken, and finally the results. In results also, what matters is how much numbers you have put in your resume. Like, there is a ATS score in which tells how good your resume is. You can definitely check it out, and you'll get a scorecard for your resume. So the more the numbers that you'll put in your resume, it is better. It will get a better ATS score, and then the company will prefer your resume more. And I also remember that I got asked a mathematics question from indefinite integration. The solution was that it was solved by parts. At that moment, I cannot fully do the whole question, but I told them the procedure, and my last stage answer was not last stage was left, so they said it's okay, we can move over. And if you haven't studied about machine learning, then it's good if you can learn some basics about it, because it can be a part of your interview process. And in machine learning also, if you are focusing more on supervised learning, then that's good, because that is a part which is immediately applicable to the job profile that we are going for. and and yeah, make sure in your interview before, uh, like my interview was on Microsoft Teams, so before starting the interview, it's better that you check for all the technical glitches, because in my time a technical glitch happened, and 2 minutes I was saying something but they couldn't hear anything, so that broke my momentum at that moment, but later I carried it forward. And then the HR questions, in the starting they asked my introduction, that was it, and in the end they asked for my strengths and weaknesses. And mind you, you should put your strengths in a way that show that you are very much compatible for the role. Like, for example, if you're applying for the data analyst role, then you should show them how good you are in this field, and you can also relate through any project that you have done in this field. So that will show them how good employee fit that you are for the company. And when you have to tell about your weaknesses, then in weaknesses tell something which is honest. Don't try to give any manipulative answers, because that doesn't work. You can also tell them that sometimes due to workload, it's difficult for you to manage the stress or anxiety. And that's all for the interviewer. And yeah, in the end, always ask a question. What I remember is, in my interview I asked a question. It was a pretty basic question that, uh, what should I do when what should I do for this role for getting more expertise, or the 1 year time that I have, in what field I can gain more experience or mastery, which will help me in the role. So they told me that you can focus more on learning more about ML, and that was it. And the resume ended good. Now about the approach. So as I was telling you, that you can maintain a document or Excel sheet of whatever questions that you are doing, and you can store the logics also of the questions that you are doing. Simultaneously, you can maintain the HR questions list. And practice is very much important for the coding questions. Like, instead of grading that is already available on LeetCode, easy, hard, medium, I maintained my own list, and I gave my own rating, because sometimes the medium questions in LeetCode were easy for me, so I made my own list, and that's why I reviewed from time to time all the questions. And getting your resume reviewed by your seniors is very important. I missed out on this step at my time, but yeah, you should definitely do this and get your resume verified by seniors. And definitely, don't be shy to ask for help. I also remember that the night before my interview at 1 a.m. I contacted a senior from who I haven't talked anything before, and he was ready to give me all the help that I needed at that point also. So I will also do the same for you guys. So you can definitely reach out to me for any of the queries you have after this session also. And the internship experiences that Wells Fargo has a huge Bitsin community in it. So definitely you'll feel welcome. And the HR there, they also know what we Bitsins bring to the table and how talented we are in this field. And another thing is that Wells Fargo's organization culture is great. It has flexible working hours. This I have confirmed from the seniors that are there. Types of projects are basically related to risk accessing, like you would be refining the risk predicting models that are already present, and that would be a part that you have to improve the accuracy of the models that are already created, as well as if you can put something innovative which can help the overall team, then that would be of much requirement. And data analytics is typically assigned location of Bangalore. This time we are assigned location of Hyderabad, but all the previous years Bangalore is the ideal location. Yeah, software roles have got Chennai as their location this time. And the best thing about Wells Fargo is from the past few years it has been giving 100% PPO conversion, which is a very important point at in this time of market, which is very dicey. So I think this is one of the best points, and I hope this remains for me as well after my internship is over. And yeah, my part is over. So thank you, and I'll hand over.
Thank you very much, Vandan, for that insightful speech. And now we will, I'll call our next speaker, um, Abir Abhyankar. So I'll just introduce him once. So Abhir Abhyankar is a BE Computer Science student of the 2021 batch who has secured a product engineering role at Sprinklr, which is a software company maintaining a software as a service customer experience management platform. He's also the competitive programming lead for the coding club at BITS Pilani. So let's hear about his experience with the summer internship experience.
Yeah, hey everyone. So I think we can get started right away. I'll just share my screen. Right, we'll get directly to the point. I think माने बहुत सारे लोग वेट ही कर रहे होंगे कि कुछ और भी काम हो सकता है and everything. So yeah, so is my screen visible? If somebody could confirm if my screen was visible. Yeah, right. Got it. Thanks. Yeah. So let's just get started with it. So hi, I'm Abir. I'm currently a product engineering intern at Sprinklr India, and I was the competitive coding lead for the last academic year at Coding Club Bits Planning as well. So let's get started with the first thing. So resume content. So what should you actually put in your resume even when you're going to develop your resume on the Superset platform? But what should be the content for it? So first thing is, if you don't know something, it shouldn't be on your resume. That's very clear cut. अगर तुम्हें नहीं आता है मत डालो resume पे. That's not going to help you in any manner. One thing which you could do is actually take up courses. It's very easy to get financial aid on Coursera. Yeah, you can just take up courses. You can just take up multiple courses on Coursera. Do those if you have put something in your resume. But please, if you don't know anything about something, don't put it on your resume. That's not going to work out well for you. And again, other than that, write projects. If you're in this computer science branch, then you would have your database and object-oriented programming course projects, along with, if you have taken some Dell in the second year, you might have projects from those courses as well. You can try to build projects on your own as well. It's not that hard. You can just take like it's dedicating 1 hour, 1.5 hour every day for like 15-20 days, you'll be able to make a pretty good project if you have not taken up the object oriented programming or database management courses or anything other than that. It's not just have to do it. Just start putting in effort towards a project. Put 15-20 days, develop a project, add it to your resume. It doesn't have to be a too elaborate of a project. Just basic projects which are going to keep you in sync with all the concepts, help you understand the concept, how you implement them in code, etc. Right? If you do those, that's good enough, and that's actually projects make a very good talking point for the resume as well. Other than that, put your PORs if you are in any clubs, and yeah. So I think that's about it for the resume content. So let's start. So for IT, there are mainly two rounds which are there. So one is the online assessments, which are called OS, and second is the interview part. So OS preparation, mostly you should focus on DSA. Other topics like database, object-oriented programming are more importantly asked in interview rounds, and maybe somewhat like TRC, Tower Research Capital, asked last year some questions about object-oriented programming, OOPS and DBS. Other than that, most OAs focus on DSA, especially day zero companies. And so you should have a proper clarity on the basic concept that you have been taught in the course. You can take up any YouTube playlist on DSA if you want to go through and understand the basic concepts. There are multiple different playlists. There's no recommended playlist for DSA as a whole, but you can just go through your preferred playlist. All of them are equal in my opinion. You should be able to think on your feet and solve questions using multiple approaches. Do not be unidimensional. Interview में help नहीं होने वाला if you're just stuck in one way trying to solve it in one way, because the interview will be like, no, you don't solve it in this way, solve it in the other way, right? और फिर वैसा, you don't want to feel stuck in any manner. So whenever there are multiple approaches to problem, we go through the solution. Even if I've solved the problem, go through its solution. Maybe they've done something different and you might learn something new, right? So always do not be unidimensional in your problem solving approach. Again, how to do this? So LeetCode and interview bit provide you very structured lists with a time environment to help you simulate online assessments. Very good for practicing, like OS type ka environment hota hai pura, your time, you're going to solve such questions. Like D-Show interview, there are 3 questions. A D-Show OA, there are 3 questions, and you get like 15, 20 and 25 minutes for each, and these are like strict sets, so you can't solve other questions in the other question while the other questions are displayed. So to practice standard questions and OS type questions, LeetCode and interview bit are pretty good platforms, and they also have structured lists. So there are like top 150 interview problems. I think there's a list on LeetCode, and then interview bit has multiple such lists on DSA concepts. If you're going through concept videos on YouTube, Abdul Bari is a great source for DSA. For dynamic programming, however, Aditya Verma is a better playlist in my opinion. Always, if you're not able to understand how a question is being solved, go through the step-by-step tutorials. You can find step-by-step tutorial for every question. Some or the other guy will be posting tutorials on YouTube. So there is not a lack of resources on the problem front or the solution front as such. And step-by-step tutorials are also very helpful, because in the interviews you're going to iteratively develop your solution from the bottom, right? So you need to explain to the interviewer your thought process, how you're thinking about going through this challenge in the problem, how you're going through, how you will be able to solve this, right? And thus explaining to the interviewers in a step-by-step manner is a skill that you would want in yourself for the interviews. If you are pretty versed with LeetCode and interview bit and you're just solving them thoda karke solve kar rahe ho, Code Forces and CodeChef are good platforms to get started with difficult problems. If you're good on Code Forces, CodeChef, I think always should not be a worry of yours in any manner. Code Forces and CodeChef provide you with different difficult problems and help you think in various different ways, and these are mostly above interview level questions, especially Code Forces div to C or D problems. C or D problems are mostly like a little above the OA problems which we get. So if you're doing LeetCode interview bit and you still have time left, go for practicing Code Forces, CodeChef problems. These are very good resources to help you develop your skills, right? And whenever you're solving problems, solve them out loud. In interviews, you'll be, again, as I mentioned, you'll be asked to develop a solution for the problem and explain it step by step. Not knowing how to express yourself
Abhi?
is, yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but could you keep on switching your slides as well?
Yeah, I think I am switching my slides, right?
Yes, yes. It wasn't visible before. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
fine
I'm
now.
talking on this slide only right now. Yeah, I'll just move. Well, yeah, yeah. So solving problems out loud in interviews is a must. You need to know how to express yourself. You don't want your talking skills to be a barrier once you're in the interviews, right? So more tips for database and oops. Start studying 2-3 weeks before if you have already done the courses. Not a hot topic in the OS, but as I mentioned, you should go through more company specifics, right? What questions are they asking in OS? Because as a trend, DSA will be the one which DSA concepts will be the one questioned in the OS. But some companies do ask database and oops questions. So please go through the OA questions beforehand as well to see uh, what you should prepare for before the online assessment. You should know the course content very well. If you don't watch a preferred YouTube playlist, there are multiple YouTube playlists. Just watch one. Yeah, just spend your time very usefully. It's actually, I think it's just 5 weeks, I guess, before your first OA. I mean, we had our first OA on 22nd July last year of Google, right? So 5 weeks left. I think you should be start gearing up. You should be gearing up right now for OAs and everything. Build peer groups. This is a very important thing. Build peer groups. Don't make a large community. Large communities fail at every point, right? Find people with aligned goals like yours. Build communities where you discuss regularly among your group. Send each other tricky problems. It's very beneficial for you as well, because you get a slight motivation bump to solve more problems, and everyone gets help. Everyone is helped as a whole as well. Keep track of the concept you're finding tougher, as Vandan also mentioned. Please keep a track of whatever concepts you're finding tough to solve. Note down interesting problems, right? Just as a revision point before your OAs, before the interviews, right? If you think you won't be able to solve this on your own when you're getting this problem, right? So I think that's it for OAs. Main thing: solve DSA concepts. Company, go through company specifics. If they're asking database questions, study database as well. But you should know the course content very well. Watch a preferred YouTube playlist, right? LeetCode interview bit again, emphasizing do these things very well. Striver, need code sheets, which everyone has mentioned, those are good sheets. Those you should do, right? Those you should not skip out on. Code Forces CodeChef, if you're very well versed, you have done these sheets, you're thinking of what to do next, go through Code Forces CodeChef. Good platforms, right? So now for the interviews, as I mentioned in the resume part as well, you should know everything about everything you have written. I mean, I don't want to. I want to emphasize this a lot.
Abhi,
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt you again, but your slides aren't switching actually. So
is the interview slide visible right now?
yeah, yeah, it's visible now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you should know everything about everything written in your resume. I don't I want it to be clear, right? Because many people wrote multiple things in the resume, फिर उस पे grill हो गया, फिर उनको नहीं आया. वैसा केस किसी के साथ भी नहीं होना चाहिए. If you don't know something, it should not be in a resume. For projects, clearly mention the parts you have worked on, right? Or agar if you have not worked on that part, clearly tell the interviewer कि I didn't work on this part. I worked on this part. Double down on what you know. Practice solving problems out loud. Mock interviews with seniors. I think last year also we had multiple seniors engaging with us and helping us in setting up the mock interviews, and that was a very helpful experience. I think this year also we'll be doing that. So so no worries on that part. I think you can also go through seniors. If you have if you have company specific ambitions, then go to seniors who are interning for that company right now. Ask them, and that will be of great help to you as well. Read through past interview questions and experiences, right? That is a very key thing that you should do. I didn't do it, and थोड़ा सा तो गड़बड़ हुआ था उसके वजह से. So read through past interview questions, go through multiple people's experiences. Sometimes questions may be repeated as well, so that is just luck working for you, right? And is the slide now visible? Next slide.
No, not the next slide.
During interviews, yeah, I think it should be
Yes, yes,
visible
it's
now.
visible.
Yeah, right. And now let's talk about during interviews, right? You don't want to panic during interviews, so no shame in accepting you don't know something, राइट, नो प्रॉब्लम, इंटरव्यू को बोल दो नहीं आता है यार, कुछ कर नहीं सकते अभी उसके लिए, राइट. डबल डाउन, बट डबल डाउन ऑन व्हाट यू डू नो, राइट. ऐसा नहीं है कि तुम बस बोल दिए कि यार मेरे को ये नहीं आता, राइट. टेल हिम व्हाट यू डू नो एंड गाइड द इंटरव्यू लाइक दैट, right, so that it stays within your area of expertise mostly, right. Thoda he'll push you out of the, thoda the interview will push you out of your comfort zone, but I think that is just being, now you have to be confident, firm in your answers. Maintaining good posture is also very important. Just, you know, do a hand, shake hands with the interviewer before you're sitting down, right. Like basic courtesy you should follow. You be confident, firm in your answers, maintain good posture, right. And this is, last point is very important. I had 5 interviews on day 0. I messed up 2 of them because of this, right. You may have multiple interviews in one day. Don't panic and ruin other interviews just because one didn't go well, right. Don't know how much I should emphasize this, right. But हो जाएगा यार, ठीक है, एक इंटरव्यू खराब हो गया, you can't do anything about that. Don't just go about ruining your other interviews just because one didn't go well, right. At the end हो जाएगा sort सब. You don't have to worry a lot due to that, right. So I think, yeah, the next slide is, so now I'll just talk about briefly, I think, my in time, like I spent around 3 weeks right now at Sprinklr. So I'll just talk about, just give a few lines about that. So, right, so during my internship at Sprinklr, I'm basically, you know, involved with automation tasks for Sprinkler's internal processes. Right now it's a very good environment to work in, especially in the team which I am in. I'm in one of the backend teams at Sprinkler. So right now the work is pretty enjoyable. The PPO conversion rate was around 40 to 50% last year, if I remember correctly. But Sprinkler also has revoked PPO offers due to market conditions right now. Some of the PPO, not all, some of the PPO offers have been revoked, and market conditions, in my opinion, would stay the same. So expect less number of PPOs from all companies, in my opinion, right. Other than that, yeah, pretty enjoyable work. The seniors are good. They give 4 meals a day, and yeah, nothing else. I think uh, regarding this, I think if there are quant specific questions, happy to answer those. You can just drop them in the Google form, right. I'll just keep on answering those one by one. But quant is not widely applicable, in my opinion, because of the fairly limited number of companies. So I think we'll just answer quant questions one by one. Some basic rules for quant, although I can tell. So some basic rules for quant is like, quants involve logic, puzzles, sometimes ML, not all, sometimes ML, and they test concepts very thoroughly. So you should be able to solve puzzles on the fly. You should know your programming skills must be top notch. They pick the cream of the cream only. For quant puzzles, you can go through brainstellar.com. That's a very excellent resource for quant puzzles. Other than that, Vandan also mentioned Geek for Geeks puzzles, and other websites like that are also very helpful while solving puzzles. For learning specific languages, many of them focus on C++. LearnCpp.com is a very good website for you to learn and quickly go through C++ as a whole. Right. Other than that, if there are any quant specific questions, I think we can answer those with the Google form. Right. But that's it from my end. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Abhir, for that insightful look into your journey. So now we will be beginning the question and answer session. So I hope everybody, all of you, have seen the Google form link in the chat. So if there are any questions, please post them, and I will be starting the question and answer session now. So our first question is addressed to Abhir Abhyankar. So the first question, very common one: how to use LeetCode effectively for SI preparation?
Right. So how to use LeetCode effectively? Right. As I did mention earlier, start solving problems. No other way. There is no other way to solve LeetCode efficiently. Go through a list. Though the driver sheet is 150 problems, if I remember correctly. Go through the list. Start solving problems. That's how you do it efficiently. You get a problem set, start solving it. There is no in between. There is no other way to do it efficiently, right? Don't waste your time though. I would say अगर 2 घंटे में प्रॉब्लम नहीं हो रहा है, 2-2.5 घंटे में वो नहीं ही होने वाला है तुमसे. सोल्यूशन देखो, आगे बढ़ो, right? Just make sure कि the next time you solve the problem, you don't have to look at the solution. You are well versed with the concept, right? So that's how I would recommend going through LeetCode. Start solving problems. If you just go through looking the solutions, तो फिर बाकी लोग ऐसा ही लेके निकल जाएंगे शांति से. Think other than that तो नहीं होगा कुछ.
Vandan, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, like what I followed is a very systematic approach. जैसे मैं अगर कोई कर रहा हूँ 150 क्वेश्चंस की प्लेलिस्ट कर रहा हूँ, तो उसमें मैं ये रखता था कि मेरे को डेली का 10 का टारगेट है, और एंड देन उसमें फिर जो भी प्रॉब्लम्स आती थी मैं 10 के बेसिस पे करता था, तो बहुत स्मूथली मेरा खत्म हो गया था. तो उस तरह फॉलो कर सकते हो, और थोड़े टाइम में रिव्यू करते रहो जो भी डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चंस थे. जैसे मैंने बताया था कि मैंने अपनी खुद की एक लिस्ट बना रखी थी जिसके अंदर मैं मार्क करता रहता था क्वेश्चंस जो मुझसे नहीं हो रहे थे. तो या तो तुम एक्सेल पे बना लो वो लिस्ट, एंड जो फॉर एग्जांपल तुमको जो समझ नहीं आ रहा उसके लीड कोड में बेस्ट टू सॉल्यूशंस देख लो, और उससे तुमको मल्टीपल अप्रोचेस पता लग जाएंगी कैसे सॉल्व करना है.
All right, thank you for that. So the next question is addressed to Vandan Singhal. So the question is, what is a good source for learning ML basics, and how do you prepare ML for the written test and the interview specifically?
In the written test, ML as such was not asked, and if you want to know about ML, like I personally like a playlist on YouTube. It's a playlist I'll put it in the chat box. It's from Campus X, and it is 100 days of machine learning, so it's a quite good playlist. You can check this playlist out, and apart from it, there are courses on Coursera also for machine learning. And in that also, I would suggest that you should first of all do supervised machine learning, because it is very useful in our role. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Vandan. So our next question is regarding it's targeted to Abhyankar. So the question is that can we use templates or see syntax from internet during online assessments like in contests?
So what I would recommend is what I would recommend नहीं, पहले तो in OAs you can't use templates, right? They have a template of their own which they provide to you. You'll be asked to use that. Apart from that, you'll not be allowed to copy paste anything, and उनका software पूरा monitor करता है if you shift to another screen as well, another tab, another screen, right? So you can't use templates. So I would not recommending using your own templates whenever you're solving lead code or any such stuff, right? Interview bit and lead code also have templates which are very similar to those provided in the OS. So like if you're well versed with lead code, I don't think there should be any issue with you solving on solving the OS, right? But for code forces and code shift, you can make your own template, use it as such. I would recommend learning your template if you want to write it on your own, right? It should be a small enough template though. Don't make large templates which you are going to use. Just make small templates and use those in the OS. Just memorize them and use them in your OS if you feel comfortable with that. But mostly lead code type templates are provided in the OS.
All right, thank you very much. The next question is addressed to Vandan. So the question is that does a data science minor help in the data analyst role? And if you could also please summarize all the necessary skills for a data analyst intern.
Like personally, I haven't done data science minor, but yeah, if you have done it, then it's definitely an edge for you over other candidates, because when the interviewers will see that your knowledge is great in that field, so definitely you'll be a more better fit for that role. And for data analytics roadmap would include that you can first of all you can learn more about ML. Like I have put this YouTube channel link. It has a lot of video about ML. So and from the basic to intermediate level, it will get you acknowledged about all the major stuff that are going in this field. And apart from it, you can learn Tableau, Power BI, and apart from it, for there's also you can also learn SQL on LeetCode. There is also top 50 SQL questions that are mostly asked. So for the data analytics role, that is also a must-do thing. But SQL questions are not asked in the first OA round as well as the interview round. So you can reserve that for later, or if you have time right now, you can do at this moment itself. And there's also a Google data analytics course which is very famous, so you can take that course also. And or on Coursera there is a lot of financial aid available, you can take courses on it. But that's it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Vandan. So I will be taking some final few questions now. So the next question is addressed to both of you jointly, actually. So the question is that what are some projects that one can do for landing an internship in your respective roles, you can say. So if they haven't started yet.
I'll just take that up. So for my role, actually, there is no specific project that I can recommend. Right. I think basic projects which you have done, just do what you like, right? Because in my interview, I did a project for my club, right? Where yeah, just give me a minute. Give me a minute.
Till that time I can tell you. So for data analytics role, see, first of all you have to get mastery in DSA. That is very much important for the OA. In the OA round, none of your projects are taken into account. So first thing is that if you have done that part good, then you can move on to projects. So in the project that are important for our domain is that first of all you can do a project which is related to fraud detection in analytics. You can find a lot of projects already that are made on Kaggle. Kaggle is a very good source. It has already made models as well as data sets are also there. So what you can do is you can take help from a pre-built model and modify it to suit your data set. Like a project that I did earlier it was a project related to classification of images. The images were chest x-ray scans, and those images were not normal images of x-ray scans. These images were distilled images. That is, the images will be having a particular features of chest x-ray highlighted, which are very much crucial for finding out that whether the particular person is having pneumonia or not. So I did this project, and what we needed to do is modify the project to suit our need and improve its prediction accuracy. But this project is not that much useful to our field. What other projects that you can do is you can do like I said, fraud detection. It's a project in which you will have all the financial history of all the customers, and wherever you are finding that some customer is anomalous in paying his debts or something, so you can find out the outliers, and then your model will predict that. And apart from that, nowadays a lot of projects related to analysis of customer behavior are there. For example, customers have churn rate is that the customers that are not that have stopped using your services. So a lot of projects are there in this field in which you'll understand the behavior of the customers, and you'll use NLP to find out that their reviews are positive, negative, or neutral for the company. And through this you can increase uh, the the sustenance rate of customers over the fee of over the company's products that they are delivering. So that is also a great project for behavioral finance. And you can also find projects which will predict the market risk uh, in a particular sense, or the market volatility. So these could be some good projects for you, and you can do them after you have prepared for the OS. First and foremost part is that. And yeah, that's it for my role. Abir
Yeah,
can continue.
yeah, I'll just continue. So, do what you love, right? I mean, for some specific companies, as Vandan mentioned, right, you can go through various projects, but there's not like a one project fits all companies, right? So, if you want like a general purpose project, just pick company, एक company choose कर लो कि I want to apply for this company front and foremost. I want to go here. If there are some particular projects, search for that on the internet. The LeetCode experiences, GFG experiences, search on Reddit. you'll be able to get a pretty good list of projects that you can work on for that particular company. Other than that, if you want to go language specific, right? See, ki, Java based company hai ye, so I'll probably do a project in Java. If I have like a database managed a company which is like focusing on DBMS on interviews on interviews, so I'll probably do something more database oriented for my project, right? Other than that, interviews usually do not mind what project you have done unless you don't know anything about it, right? So if you know about it, it will be a good talking point. The interviewer also knows many things, so just be sure that you know what you're doing in your project and just make it a talking point. I think it will not be that much of a barrier as to what exactly the project is if it is at a decent level. So like I say, oops ka course project ho gaya, that's a pretty decent talking point. Like some projects on that level will definitely help you.
Thank you, Abir. So our next question is directed to Vandan actually. So as a dual degree student in economics, how did you productively spend your summer at the end of the third year? And should I be worried if I'm not able to secure any internship?
Okay, so can I know the person's branch who's asking which branch she is in?
The person's branch is Eco+CS.
Okay, yeah, so Eco plus CS, that's a very ideal combination. So the person should not be worried at as such, because as the branch is economics, so there are a lot of openings for the person. If she is not getting SA at this moment, then at the end of the year JPMC come, a lot of finance companies come, JPMC, Morgan Stanley, Nomura, and they take a lot of students from Pilani. Nomura doesn't take that many students, but yeah, JPMC and Morgan Stanley is a very good option for them. So if they are not getting like Eco plus CS is the ideal thing that you are getting. You can have access to all the finance companies, and you are having CS, so you will also have chance for the IT companies. You cannot ask for something more. If the branch would be different, then the case would be different, like if you have maths or something else. And apart from telling how productively I use my essay period, so yeah, I told it, I divided all the things that I have to do into chunks, and on daily basis, like I have set some 5-10 questions for myself, so I did them only. And I didn't put too much heavy task for myself on everyday basis. And I think you should divide your tasks, and you will simply do that. There's not much of a problem in that.
All right. Thank you, Vandan. So now I'll be taking two last questions, and we'll be wrapping up the meet. So this question is directed to Abir Abhyankar. The question poses: I am practicing DSA regularly, but I haven't started any CS subjects yet. When should I study them, and what subjects should I study first?
Right. So again, I did mention this in my slides as well. If the company, if so, go through whenever the OAs are announced, right? That is, and I so ideally OAs are announced or like 22 July. You should assume. I think that's a pretty good date to think the first yoga. So I think at the beginning of July, it's a pretty decent time to start preparing for database and oops. If you are applying to companies जिनके OA में ये question पूछा है, right? You need to be focused, right? Because the interviews will be like 20 days, 3 weeks later than after the OAs, right? So when if you are applying to a company and in the OA you are going to be asked object oriented programming or database management concepts, then recommended ki around July start se hi tum chalu kar do preparation for these courses, right? Other than that, if light hi hai and mostly they'll be asking DSA based thing like rubric, Sprinklr, they don't ask any they don't ask object oriented programming or database concepts during their OAs. So for that, you can start preparing very well after the OS. That's also you have enough time before both of them, right? So just go through it company wise. I even serious prep I would recommend do it after OS because in the OS also they ask basic questions. They don't ask very hard questions of object oriented programming and database concepts, right? So serious prep for these courses recommended after OS, but you should know something. At Saniki, you should have to go fully blank into the OS if the company is asking questions based on those concepts. Right. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. And coming to the final question, which is directed to both of you. So, to Abir, it's directed in the form that I don't have any web dev projects. I only have ML related projects. So, does that hamper my chance for a software engineering intern? And to Vandan, it is the other way around. So, if you have only ML related projects, then how tough would it be to land a software developer role?
Right. I think I'll take this up. So, whoever has asked the question, I did not have any web dev related projects or ML based projects. Right. I had neither of them. I had just my object oriented programming project, my database project, and one of the projects which I was doing for my club. Right. That is like a very basic data analytics project. Very, very basic. It's like anyone can do it. Vasa type of project. Right. But the main point is कि I had DSA concept strengthened, right? I was going through the concept very thoroughly. वो concept solve हो रहे थे मेरे से, and I was able to turn my oops project only into one of the talking points in my interviews, right? Where जहाँ पे वो grill कर रहा था मेरे को on my oops project, and at the end I knew everything about the project because I had made it fully, end to end, right? So it doesn't matter if you have projects of certain domain or you don't have projects of a certain domain. You should be confident in what you have done, and you should be able to present key, yeah, if I given the time I can learn all the other things as well. It's not going to be an issue for me. As a confidence तुम्हें exude करना है interview में, right? Other than that, you should not worry that much about your projects, in my opinion.
So yeah, I'll continue. As Abir said, see, your project is a talking point in the interview process. Projects help us because from project you can take the interview anywhere. You can take them to the your strong zones, and then if they'll ask questions in that part, so you'll be pretty much prepared by yourself at in those zones. And if you're not having projects, see, companies don't expect too much from a summer intern, and after 2 years of college, they are not expecting that you should have done a lot of projects. But what should you should do is that if you are doing something, if you are doing DSA, then in that part you have to have a proper command. If you are having some ML, if you have done up already, you have done some project, or uh, then don't go on making more projects. If you have done one project, then make it the best that you can present in the interviewer to the interviewer. So I don't think that you don't have a project is that much of a problem. You have to focus on the things that you have, and you should explain the interviewer that you have this much knowledge right now, but whatever knowledge you have gained, you are very confident in that, and if you are given the time, you can deliver all the expected tasks that they are wanting out of yourself. So there's nothing to be worried about if you're not having projects at this point.
Okay, thank you very much, Vandan. And so that was the last question for our question and answer session. I would like to thank both Vandan and Abir a lot for imparting this level of experience and finally sharing all of it with us. And I'm sure everybody who's attended this meet has taken a lot from this. And I hope we all follow in your footsteps. So thank you very much.
Thanks, thanks for giving us this chance.
All the best to everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, all the best.
Yeah, I think I have my phone number attached on the slide. So if you're very serious, तभी बात करना. ऐसा general advice के लिए मत message करना मेरे को, please. Right? Yeah. If you have very specific doubts, you can very well contact me on my phone. That won't be an issue. Bye, guys.
Thank you very much.